We have breaking news. Having just learned, former NBA star Gilbert Arenas has been arrested. He and 5 others are accused of operating an illegal gambling business. The Department of Justice says they had high-stakes poker games at Arenas' Encino mansion. Arenas is charged with 1 count of conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business, 1 count of operating an illegal gambling business, and 1 count of making false statements to federal investigators.
What's up? What it do? What's up, Town Eon? It's DC Blacks. You know what the business is. I seen my man Gilbert Arenas is back in the news. Gilbert Arenas, I actually met Gilbert Arenas. True story. I did 17 years in prison, as I say all the time, right? And when I was getting released from prison, I got released on parole, and I had to go to a halfway house. The halfway house that I went to was located in Montgomery County, Maryland. It's called PRC, the Pre-Release Center, I believe is what it stands for. I met a lot of good Maryland homies in that joint, specifically from Montgomery County. Shout out to my man Lincoln Park Measy, good man, really helped me integrate back into society, taught me different things that was going on. But for those that don't know or don't remember, Gilbert Arenas had caught some type of firearm charge, some type of weapons charge. Anyway, yeah, so Gilbert Arenas, when he was playing for, I like to call them the Bullets. They changed their name to the Wizards. So when Gilbert Arenas was playing for the Wizards, something allegedly occurred, and he's supposed to have some weapons in his locker. I think some niggas told on him. But nevertheless, I see all over the news media right now, they talking about what's going on with him right now. So for those that's really interested in Gilbert Arenas, this is the rundown on the Gilbert Arenas situation, right? According to different news sources, right, former NBA star and current podcaster Gilbert Arenas has been arrested and charged with 1 count of conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business. 1 count of operating an illegal gambling business and 1 count of making false statements to federal investigators, per statement released by the United States Attorney's Office for the Central District of California on today, which is Wednesday. Arenas is alleged to have operated an illegal gambling business from September 2021 to July of 2022 at an Encino, California mansion that he owned. 5 other defendants have also been charged with 1 count of conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business and 1 count of operating an illegal gambling business. The group includes Yevgeny Greshamman, a suspected organized crime figure from Israel, per the statement. And I found that funny because the little bit of time that I spent around Gilbert Arenas, he was not shy of street guys. Like, he was in the halfway house with us, and guys that had different type of charges, he would talk to them. He even bought one of my books when I first came in there. I was straight out of prison. I ain't had no problem, man, telling them, yo, I had a book. Another thing that I remember about Gilbert Arenas is that he had all type of women from all over the world coming to see him. He was one of the only dudes that the halfway house allowed to really have his car. If I'm not mistaken, he was driving a Benz in that junk. A couple of us had cars, but we had to park the cars around the corner. But back to the case. Arenas is accused of renting out the mansion to host of high-stakes illegal poker gamblers. A man by the name of Arthur Katz is alleged to have essentially run the operation at Arenas' direction. Per the statement, Katz allegedly staged the mansion to host the games, found co-conspirators to host the games, and collected rent from the co-conspirators on Arenas' behalf. The alleged games reportedly included a collection of a rake. In addition, they hired young women who served drinks, provided messages, and offered companionship to the poker players. Companionship. In addition, chefs, valets, and armed security guards also worked the alleged events. Per the statement, the defendants will face a statutory maximum sentence of 5 years in federal prison for each count if convicted. Arenas has notably been charged with 3 counts, meaning he could face a maximum of 15 years in prison. Y'all heard it. You can rewind it to hear it again. They done grab Gilbert Arenas in the Central District of California. This is going to be a Fed charge. These are the feds that's coming to see him. I don't know too much about this. I thought he was kind of like out of the limelight, but it made me think about it when I seen it. It said it was brand new and he had co-defendants. Hope he can come up out of that. I think it's a new era in time right now where the United States Attorney's Office is just going after all type of guys, man. Whether they are local street guys or they big time celebrities. I don't know what the end result of this situation right here gonna be, but for all the people that follow basketball, Gilbert Arenas done got himself in a jam with this. I'm gonna cover this joint for you too. I usually don't cover a whole lot of sports joints, and with that being said, it's crazy that the gambling and arrest and sports figures have come up because I was gonna do another side piece, but I might as well just throw it in here right now since I'm really not a sports NBA basketball news type of guy. But Maurice Morris got locked up in Broward County. They saying that he owed the casinos almost $300,000 or a little bit under $300,000. They alleging that he wrote a check 2 times for like $150,000. Now, I see a lot of people in the news just bashing him, saying that he was broke and saying all this other stuff that occurred. But I read some information about that. It came from his lawyer and came from his brother that said that he was already working on repaying the debt. How it happened or how it didn't happen, but the feds that went from locking up the rappers to now they're going to lock up the basketball players. You know what I mean? I'm sitting back thinking about this situation where they say that Gilbert Arenas just has not been right since he caught that case and had them guns in the locker. But I'm gonna tell y'all something funny that I don't think a lot of people know. I don't know how Gilbert Arenas' lawyer was able to pull this off, but Gilbert Arenas was charged with weapon violations in the District of Columbia. Because if he was charged with weapons violations in the District of Columbia and they get him a favor, I'm not going to say nothing hot or no suspect shit happen, but for him to be able to serve his time in the Montgomery County halfway house, that was a little unusual to me. Now, why was I in the Montgomery County halfway house? I was in the Montgomery County halfway house with Gilbert Arenas because as a DC lifer that had to make parole, I didn't want to go to Hope Village, and my father had an apartment in Montgomery County. So I used my father's address to change my address, and it cost me 60 extra days in prison to wait for him to transfer. So I was trying to explain to dudes that being as though Gilbert Arenas was a celebrity, had a few dollars, that maybe his lawyers and them did something like that to get him transferred out there to Montgomery County to the PRC halfway house. But however it goes, Gilbert Arenas in a situation right now where they charging him with these gambling offenses and everything that go with it. But I wouldn't be surprised if he was to come up out of this situation without a scar, without a scratch. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at DC Blacks and Uptown Eon. Shout out to my man Panama. Go get the book Money Ain't Everything. Type in Eon Williams, EYONE. Type in Eon Williams on Amazon to get you an Eon Williams book. Check out my website, eonwilliams.com. Free the men, free the real. You know what the business is.
A little rough lately, but you know, when you try to keep a smile on your face and, you know, make a little fun of yourself, you know, you always keep, you know, upbeat.
How are you dealing with all the stuff that's surrounding you right now?
Watching a lot of comedy. You know, laughter usually heals pain, so.
What's the pain?
Huh?
What's the pain?
I mean, come on. I mean, really.
No, what is the pain? Where's the pain coming from?
All the stories I've been reading. Same ones you've been reading. So.
What's not true about it?
I don't know, I can't actually talk about it. But
you blogged about it and wrote about it.
No, I didn't blog about it.
Tweeted about
I didn't tweet about it. I just said I woke up and that's how I felt. I read the paper and said, whoa.
You said you felt like you were
John Wayne, yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, the situation. I wake up and, you know, I read the paper and there it is. Like, woo, that's rough.
Hey, Gil, Abe Poland's family put out a statement during the game that was very critical of this whole thing. They even talked about extremely poor judgment and the fact that guns were even in his locker room in the first place.
Yeah, and I agree. You know, that's bad judgment on my part, you know, storing them here, and, you know, I take responsibility for that.
The OK Corral, was that just a joke type thing?
Yeah, I'm a jokester. You know, nothing in my life is actually serious.
Have you blown it out of proportion, this whole thing?
A little bit. just a little bit.
You don't think it's serious that there's guns inside of a stadium like this?
I mean, that is serious.
Have you spoken to them yet?
No, not yet. I'll deal with that on Monday.
And what do you hope to resolve? How do you hope that resolves itself?
You know, we'll see. You know, I got to put it in their hands and, you know, tell the story. That's and then see what they say.
Was it silver?
What's the biggest misconception about all this, Gilbert?
The whole story. You know, so, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you know, bad judgment having, you know, the weapons here, but, you know, I'm you know, it's bad judgment. I deal with that. I have no problem with that.
Gil, there's a perception that things went wrong here and that someone pulled a gun on someone inside here. That's not true. Everyone gets along.
Well, I can't, you know, speak on that. But, you know, if you known me, you've been here. I've never did anything violent. Anything I do, it's funny. Well, it's funny to me. So.
What about, you know, you're a proud papa. What about all these kids that are out there wearing your jersey tonight? What would you
You know, I appreciate it. You know, I understand. You know, with everything going on, it's easy to run from a situation. But, you know, the little kids made me smile. You know, still wearing a jersey. You know, they're behind me still.
That's just it. You're not known as a guy who's, you know, going to be pulling guns on people. It seemed very out of character to even hear that about you.
I'm a goofball, and, you know, that's what I am. So even during something like this, you know, I'm going to make fun of it, you know. And that's how I am. You know, some people say I'm not taking it serious, but why be depressed at home when I can just make myself laugh? You know, a couple people with it.
You crying inside?
No, not yet. Not yet. I'll wait to see what the DA says.
And confident, Gil, when all of this is said and done, that people will look and understand that, yeah, there was much to do about nothing or not?
Yeah, I mean, you know, once the DA, you know, says his decision, from there, that's the NBA does their job, and then from there we'll see what happens.
How nervous are you?
I mean, I'm not nervous at all. I mean, you know, before, you know, it's the same thing, you know, gun possession, you know, unloaded, so, you know, it's better than throwing them in a trash can, I guess. You know?
The accusation is about gambling. Is that true in any way? There was gambling that took place?
I can't speak on that part, but, you know, I give money away for free. You know, I think if I owed someone some money, I think I'll pay it up.
Yeah, but you're a good poker player, though, right?
Yes.
So, does this have anything to do with that?
No, I play poker on my phone or on my computer. It's just a DVD.
You just shoot hoops for money, right?
Huh?
Basketball for money, right?
No, I don't gamble. Online, I don't do any of that.
You don't
I just
play poker with the players or anything?
no. We got bad poker players.
Have you spoken to Gerard since the story came out?
Yeah, we were friends before. We're friends now. You know, we don't have no problem.
What is his reaction at this point?
He's very upset because I guess they had a friend quoted, and he hasn't talked to that friend in like 8 months. I don't know.
Gilbert, if you had to rank the concerns you have, you know, in terms of your career, your position on the team, the personal situation, the legal situation, where would you rank your concerns?
I mean, my concern is only on a basketball court.